everyone, and welcome to today's Speakeasy Live. You're very welcome to a little bit of a discussion and a debate and a mini workshop on a subject that's obviously very important to you today, just looking at the number of people who've signed up and of course to your organizations. It's been called the Great Resignation, and particularly we're focusing on the Great Resignation when it comes to women in the workforce. Now, we are delighted to have you all on the YouTube channel for Bespoke Communications today. If you would like to participate in the chat at all, you must subscribe to get involved in the chat. So you should be able to see a button on your screen right now that will allow you to get involved in the discussion today. Now, before I get into a little mini workshop, you can see that I've been joined by two guests today. Delighted to be joined by Leslie Ann Smith, Senior Program Manager from Spirit Aerosystems, formerly Bombardier Short Brothers. And we have Jenna Bell, Business Development Manager for the Chartered Institute of Building. And Jenna and Leslie Ann are going to share their experiences of confidence and resilience, and we're going to be speaking to them later on. But for now, ladies, you can disappear and I will get on with the presentation. So before I begin today, I'm just going to set up my slides. I hope you can see them right now on the screen. So a little bit of an introduction to myself. My name is Sarah Travers. I'm a former journalist, BBC journalist in Northern Ireland, but have set up Bespoke Communications with my fabulous business partner Camilla Long, who you can see on the left of the screen. We set up our business over 7 years ago, and we are the leading provider of communications training in Northern Ireland. That's probably what we're best known for. We also work across the island of Ireland and in the UK, offering presentation skills, offering media training, communication and confidence coaching. And I'm sure you're particularly interested today in the area of our personal development programs. We run powerful resilience programs with some recognised partners here in Northern Ireland, and we can also tailor bespoke communications resilience courses for you and your teams with face-to-face options, remote options and blended options to suit every individual client and organisation. Now, team resilience and personal well-being have come under the spotlight in, I suppose, the last 2 years like never before, really. And we're seeing, evidence coming in when we talk in conversations to HR managers. I'm sure we have many with us today. Evidence from exit interviews when people actually leave organizations show that diminished motivation, poor work-life balance, even feelings of overwhelm and indeed burnout are some of the factors contributing to people leaving the workplace in greater numbers than perhaps we've ever seen. Research also shows that female resilience has declined drastically compared to male counterparts after the COVID pandemic. The Wraw Resilience Report has indicated that. We're gathering more and more statistics as we go, and anecdotally evidence suggests that all of these reasons contribute to the decision that women are now not perhaps pushing themselves within organizations either, not going for promotions or wishing to take on these leadership challenges, and we know we absolutely need them in leadership roles. And if you are a leader of people, then team resilience is most likely affecting your productivity, can be a bottleneck on any growth for your organization. So you've come to the right place if you want to do something about it, because in the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking a little bit about how you can build resilience in your teams to prevent overwhelm or burnout. We can then talk to you a little bit about what, if you were to talk to us about organising a powerful resilience programme, what would that actually look like? We will need two past participants. We saw them at the start there. Leslie Ann and Jenna will be talking about their experiences of coming on a powerful resilience programme, what it actually did for them individually, and how it has affected or changed the way that they lead within their organisations too. And finally, what I'll do in the last section of the 30 minutes is I'm going to give you a little bit of a gift today. Some of you might be familiar with a cognitive behavioral therapy tool developed by Albert Ellis in the 1950s. It is called the ABC, and you can leave today with this tool if you don't know about it already. It is a powerful reframing tool that you can use with yourself and your teams to help you think differently about challenging situations and, most importantly, your behavior and your reactions to situations that might trigger. So that's what's coming up. There is no doubt that we have been through incredibly testing times, especially when trying to continue to work through the COVID pandemic. It has led to what we've seen, this great resignation. But, you know, I actually think and prefer to call it this, the great re-evaluation, because we've had all of this time in the world to really sit back and look at what we're doing and the way we were working. And in fact, the great re-evaluation, I would argue, has been a long time in coming, particularly when it comes to women. And I would say now, without a doubt, that women are no longer available for working under pressure without feeling fulfilled and valued, and most importantly, heard. So the great re-evaluation, which the rethink that the pandemic has allowed people to have, means that women finally want to find their voice and show up authentically at work. However, many have struggled with confidence issues. They've had knocks to confidence. They've had so many roles in their lives, responsibilities for other people. But many organisations are contacting Camilla and myself now. I only had one call this week about the changes that managers have seen in staff over the last 2 years. When I say changes, I mean things like disengagement, loss of confidence, loss of joy in the job, and particularly loss of self-belief. So we know that mental health and well-being, these are something that we have to concentrate on now as organisations. When we've all been working remotely, it's been harder to do that, to check in on people. Then we get a shock when somebody says we're moving on, we're leaving. So we've got high incidences being reported of mental health problems. Every single one of us has been affected in some ways. Now, don't get me wrong, some have absolutely thrived in this environment. Some have loved the opportunity to work home, for example, be more flexible. Others couldn't wait to get back into the office. So that's kind of where we're at with the great re-evaluation. However, we must retain and keep and try and nurture our female staff. And how do we do that? Well, we really need to, as organisations, we have to, not need to, offer more flexibility. We can see lots of companies now looking at the trials that are taking place around 4-day weeks. We need to look at the home working models. We need different rotas for different people. Now, I get that in some organisations that just isn't possible. When I think of my own work, I worked for the BBC in Northern Ireland for 15 years. I was a newsreader. The news happened at certain times of the day, and I was required to be present when the news was being read. Now, since the pandemic, we're seeing all sorts of presenters pop up at home and do bulletins, but, you know, at the end of the day, you had to be in the studio at 10:30 at night. That was the business need. And when I chose to step back from the BBC and my job, it really was because I felt that didn't suit me and my work-life balance anymore, and I chose to leave. But there was no other conversation about could we move elsewhere for a while, even until maybe my children were a little older. So I think it's all about conversations and effective communication around those conversations. So how else do we retain female staff? We need to continue to improve pay, conditions and opportunities for women. We need to invest in our key staff to build resilience and support. That is absolutely crucial. We need to allow them to feel safe, to feel trusted, to feel valued and heard. That is how you keep your really good employees. But as many people are seeing within themselves now, and they're questioning their values and their goals and whether their work is actually aligned to their personal values and goals, this quote from Maya Angelou totally speaks to me, something that I look at a lot on our resilience programs. Being successful And what that means now is perhaps not working, for 18 hours every day and turning up and showing up all the time and delivering. Success is actually liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. And yes, there's the man himself, Richard Branson. He came up with this quote, train people well enough so that they can leave, but treat them well enough so they don't want to. That's where the Bespoke Powerful Resilience Skills programs come in. And we can tailor all kinds of different modules. A typical 4-part module that we deliver currently for Northern Ireland Chamber and indeed for women in business will cover these various areas. So module 1, which at the minute currently takes place online, is an introduction to resilience. What does that even mean? And we encourage people to look through a different lens at their life and all aspects of their life. Module 2 is all about confidence and building resilience. And that requires us to get used to feeling uncomfortable. So we look at situations that challenge us and that trigger us, and also that we feel are beyond our capabilities. Module 3, we look at all of the responsibilities that we have as women, double, sometimes triple shift when you have that emotional responsibility for family, and how work-life smart are you? And then module 4, this is always a biggie, having the difficult conversations, finding your voice, being assertive, learning to say yes if. So for all of the HR managers interested in investing in their staff by coming on a program or sending some of their team members on a program, you won't come back with any wallflowers. You will definitely come back with fired up members of a team who will have found their voice and will hopefully be able to improve their confidence levels and be much more self-aware. But that is better for business. We always begin on the program with a resilience questionnaire, actually getting people to dig deep and work out where they are in their ratings. This is an example of something that we might do, covering our sense of perspective. You might want to do this for yourself right now. If you were to rate your perspective and sense of perspective and sense of getting the bigger picture, where would you be on a scale of 1 to 10 right now? 1 being very poor, 10 being right up there, firing on all cylinders. Where is it? How optimistic do you feel? What about your sense of humor? Humor is a great indication of where you actually are in your head and your happiness and in your ability to find joy. Are you finding that things aren't entertaining you just as much as they used to? Well, that's a bit of a red flag. Emotional self-control, that's another biggie. We see it a lot. Are we able to control our moods? Are we overreacting? Are we catastrophizing? Looking at our energy management. How well are we looking after ourselves? Are we getting enough rest and downtime and switching off? And crucially, what's the support system like around us? Many women tend to think that they're a bit of an island, and if they don't do the task or they don't look after everything, the world will end. I'm sure many of you are nodding right now, but support is vital, and none of us is an island, and we all need help. So we look at who those key people are in our lives, professionally and personally, and whether they should be there, and how we look after those relationships. So that's really what we focus on. We also do an awful lot around the growth mindset. Invest in your teams, get them to think bigger, get them to think that they are capable of more. And that requires moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, to I've never done it that way before, so I'm not going to start now, to what are the opportunities that I'm missing here? And as Carl Jung said, I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. So choice is a massive thing. So many people choose to hold themselves back. But you as organisations can encourage your staff and your team members to dig a bit deeper and going, right, okay, what would you like to do? What opportunities are out there? What challenge could you take on? And how can we support you as an organisation to allow you to do that, to feel fulfilled? We covered the 4 pillars of resilience as listed by Robertson Cooper. They are confidence, social support, purposefulness, knowing your why, and your ability to be able to adapt. We talk an awful lot about imposter syndrome, and my goodness, I have got the t-shirt when it comes to imposter syndrome. Many others will be nodding at that phrase as well. We do a lot of work around this, and we look at those threats to overcoming imposter syndrome. Often the inner critic in your own head, and the danger of perfectionism, thinking everything has to be 100% or there's no point in doing it. And that puts incredible pressure on yourself. And we identify our default unhelpful thinking styles. We become self-aware. We become emotionally intelligent. We realize that actually the world that we have created is a product of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. So are you a catastrophizer? Are you someone who struggles with criticism? Are you an all or nothing type of person? Are you somebody who minimizes positives? Well, they're my friend, they would say that. So we really identify which one is holding a particular individual back. And we do a lot about automatic negative thoughts. So if we are triggered, what's triggering us? Why are they triggering us? Because we've been conditioned to respond in certain ways. That's been our upbringing. So we really take a moment to identify those and then choose to start working on those and stop defaulting to the I can't do it, I'm not worthy, I must be perfect, I'm not good enough. These are self-limiting beliefs. And if you don't know what yours are, it will hold you back in your life. So what we do is we reframe how we see challenges. We look at evidence, we look at facts, we don't look at interpretation and perception, and we make sure that people understand the difference. I promised a reframing tool. I'm going to bring you that at the very end. But first of all, I'd like to introduce now two previous program participants who've been on the Women in Business Powerful Resilience program. So we have Leslie Ann Smith from Spirit Aerosystems and Jenna Bell, Business Development Manager. I keep saying master, what a strange word, from the Chartered Institute of Building. So I'm going to stop this share right now so that we can see you full screen. Sorry for talking so much. If you want to unmute yourselves there, Leslie Ann and Jenna, you're so kind to come on here today, because there's no point in me telling everybody to come on a Powerful Resilience Skills program, and I promise no money has changed hands with invitations to Jenna and Leslie Ann. But Jenna, you came on a resilience course that we did way before COVID. Do you want to tell us why you chose to do that, to invest in yourself?
Hi Sarah, yeah, and thanks so much for inviting me. I'm just delighted that you thought of me, so very happy to be here. I was trying to remember this morning when it was I sat in your course, but I think it was back in 2020, so two maybe 3 years ago. And I had just started a new job at the Chamber of Commerce. I was very lucky to have a really supportive line manager who was introducing me to the world of personal development, because prior to that I was unaware of personal development. It's not something that was on my radar. I wasn't aware of the importance of it, so it was really a whole new world for me. And my very first personal development course was yours, all based on resilience. And fantastic course. It was a one-day course, and I had no idea what to expect. I would say I've never done it before. I didn't know what was expected of me or what was going to take place. But it was a real eye-opener for me, and I had an awful lot of eureka moments in terms of how I react to certain things, how I reacted to certain things in the past, and how that would have put me onto a certain path. And it also helped me just to think about things from a different perspective and more positive outlook in terms of the negative outlook.
So even just coming along, in those days we ran it on one day. We are going to go back to having one-day courses later in the autumn as well. But what happened? What changed with you after the eureka moments?
Yeah, I mean, there was one task, and I'll not say too much because I'm not sure if it's still within your course. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't done it. But there was one task that you asked us to look look at our career to date, look at our journey, look where we are, look what's happened in the past, and look where we want to be in the future. And it wasn't comfortable for me. I'm a very private person. I'm not big on sharing my, all my thoughts and feelings, but you had a lovely way of making the room feel like a safe place. Everybody was very happy to really be open and honest. And for me, I think that's where learning really does take place. You have to take that small risk, to open up a little bit, and you really do reap the rewards. One of the tasks we had to do is look at our career, look what we've been through, look what we've already been through, and look how we've overcome it and how we've got through it. And when you actually take that moment to take stock, look back, see where you are, and see what you've been through, you kind of realize I've done pretty well. And for me personally, I needed somebody to say, take a look at where you've been, look at your journey, and really make you realize that you can do it, and you really do need to take time, look back what you've been through already. And I think if you do that, you realize that you're already pretty resilient, but you just need somebody to shine a torch on that and help you.
That's it. And Jenna, we talked about this before as well. We're so hard on ourselves. We put so much pressure on ourselves. We know that women do that more than men.
Absolutely.
Have you stopped doing that now, Jenna?
Absolutely. Well, I'm not perfect, and it's something that you really do have to work on. And I think that self-development is a journey that, it goes up and down like this all the time. One of the tools that I took from you was to make sure you do take stock, and that, every couple of weeks or once a month, just press the pause button and take a look back at where you've been and what you've been through, and remind yourself of the successes, even if they're really small. You just have to remind yourself of successes and celebrate them to help you get through.
Everybody needs to do that. Stop concentrating on the one bad thing that happened and look at all the good things that happened in your week. Jenna, thank you. Lesley-Ann, your experience was slightly different. You came on one of the courses with me really at the start of the pandemic when we moved to an online platform. So that was 2 hours every week for 4 weeks. Why did you feel that it was important to develop yourself personally?
So very similar to Jenna within Bombardier as it was at the time, moving to Spirit. We had linked up with Women in Business, and we were trying to develop females and provide opportunities of development for females to move on up in the leadership journey, within the organisation. However, we move into the virtual and the online. I particularly struggled with that. So I'm a bit of a people person, like to interact, like to see the faces, and that's what keeps me motivated during the day. It was a huge period of change. As I say, we were going through transition, we were being bought over, and we just didn't know what was ahead of us. So it was the fear of the unknown and fear of what do I need to do for my new leaders, my new owners, and how do I bring my team along in the journey as well, because it was a huge change for all of us at that time. In terms of the techniques, me personally, I would have been very susceptible to burnout. I would work, and then go, and I think, as Jenna said, the tools, the techniques that we got through the course, the self-reflection, the look at where you've came, where you've been, where you've got to, and taking the learning, and for me then, the setup of a brand new team. I have used those tools and techniques with my new team. They're all quite new to the role that they're doing now, so it's a big challenge for them, and I work with them on a weekly basis, small sessions, one-to-ones, just making sure that they're not completely overwhelmed by something completely new, and give them some coaching and mentoring of how to tackle the next issue, because we try to do everything at once. We feel we have to perform and deliver everything right now on time, and we just can't. So we have to recognise we need to plan and break it down and make it into smaller chunks.
As a leader, you're fitting your own oxygen mask before fitting everyone else's, but maybe investing in yourself first allowed you to be able to do that.
Yes.
Jenna and Leslie-Anne, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to share with us a little bit about your experiences of taking part in the Resilience Programme, and I wish you very well with your careers and continuing to help others and support others coming behind. So thank you so much. We have a couple of minutes left. I did promise that I would share a little tool with you before we leave today. It is called the Albert Ellis ABC model. I am literally just getting the slide up for you now. And it is basically follows these A, B, C, D, E, as you would imagine. So this is really useful. So if you've got a difficult conversation with somebody, or somebody's come into your office and they are struggling to know what to do, they're annoyed with somebody, they feel like, I've been given this challenge, I'm completely overwhelmed, I don't know, I can't even move forward. So as you'll see, we've got the A is the activating event. That's just what's happened, or something that's perhaps happened in the past. It is, as I said, a CBT tool to help you change the way you think and feel about a situation or something that's happened. So the A is the activating event. The B are your beliefs, or the individual's beliefs about that event. So they could be negative beliefs, like, I'm rubbish at this, I'm so terrible at this, they're so much better than me, I'll not do well at all with this at all. The C is the consequences of those beliefs. What, by holding on to continuing to think that you're not good enough for that job, or that person is annoying you, or that difficult conversation you don't want to have, holding on to them doesn't help you move forward. Now you also look at that point at the evidence versus the interpretation. Is this perception? Is this real? What are the facts? Let's get the facts sorted before we move forward. The D is where you dispute and debate with yourself and go, do you know what? Actually, no, that is an imagined conversation that I had in my head. I'm imagining that I'm not going to be good at this because something bad happened to me when I did something similar once when I was 18. So therefore, say it was public speaking, I'm never going to do it again. So hopefully you dispute and debate, and then the E is where you evaluate and you think more effectively about the outcome. So hopefully you can use that. It's a bit of a crash course. You can Google about it, but we do an awful lot of work around the ABC on the resilience programs. Something happens to you or someone else. The thoughts that go around in your head about yourself or the situation, what should or should not have happened, the emotions that are the consequences of those, behavioural, knee-jerk reactions, high emotional states, and then the D, learning to dispute and debate the likely truth of some of those, then evaluating the possibilities. So that is the Ellis ABC model. We have come to the end of the session, but just before we go, thank you, Maya, for that wonderful quote. I love it again. Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. If you would like to invest in yourself or in your teams, we have some interesting courses coming up for you. The next Women in Business course is online, starts on the 24th of May. So not long to go now, but a month away. That'll be 2 hours a week for 4 weeks. And you can contact Maria at Women in Business if you're interested in that, or indeed talk to Camilla or myself. The next Northern Ireland Chamber Resilience programs start slightly later. They are on the 22nd of September. Katrina at Northern Ireland Chamber can also talk to you about developing your own program for your own organisation with ourselves delivering. Or we can tailor your own bespoke resilience coaching program, and you can contact Camilla or Sarah at www.bespokecoms.net. Thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for turning up, and thank you to Jenna and Leslie-Anne for sharing their experiences. And I hope the ABC helps to help build resilience in your teams. Bye-bye. Have a great rest of day.
That's it. We